For today's review, we are looking at all four of the Spinmaster's DC 4-inch scale figures that I found at Ross the other day. And the reason why I picked up all four of these figures is because I do have the Ultimate Transforming Batmobile playset, and the gimmick with it is that it can turn into a mobile Batcave. And as a playset that only included one figure, which of course is the Batman figure that you see right here, it just felt really barren to not have any other characters, and I've been hoping to pick up a few more of these smaller size DC figures, but I just never found them the other times around. And I've seen them at like Target and Walmart, but they're more expensive. And I guess on Saturday I just got really lucky because I did not expect to ever see these other smaller ones show up at Ross, and they did. And also, before that, it was like 3 weeks ago, I think, or maybe 4 weeks now. I don't remember when I picked this up. I found another Batmobile from Spin Master at Ross, and it is this one right here that also comes with the same Batman figure. It has a little launcher right there. It also has a freaking prison cell. So, at this point, having two of these sets, I'm like, I gotta get more of these 4-inch scale DC figures, and I do hope that more will show up at Ross because I do want some supervillains, and I've seen that they have made supervillains in this scale. So, all right, and let's dive into what we are talking about today. And let's start off with this little paper thing that is included with these figures. And on one side, there is this really cool artwork of all the members of the Justice League in this iteration. I do have all of them in their 12-inch scale form, which is the big size figures. And yeah, they're pretty cool. So I'm hoping that I can find the remaining three in the 4-inch scale versions, because that would be nice to also complete them in this smaller scale as well. And on the back, you have all this telling you to collect them all. And up here, you do have this thing called rare and super rare. So that means that there are like chase versions of these 4-inch scale figures. As you can see right there, there's a black suit Superman. I don't know what the differences are for some of them. Is it the color of their accessories or the figure? I have no clue. Oh, and one more thing. They got a Lex Luthor. See, that would be cool if I can find Lex Luthor next time, if he does ever show up at Ross. All right, and that is the little paper thing that is included with these figures. Now let's talk about the first of these figures, which of course is Superman. And the design is the same design as their 12-inch scale versions. It's just smaller. And one thing I'll say right away, I am very impressed by the articulation of these figures. Usually, most basic figures, whether they are the big size ones or even the smaller ones, do not have much in terms of articulation. Usually it's very basic. But with what I've noticed with Spin Masters, they've given them a lot more than some of the ones I've seen from Marvel, from Hasbro. It is surprising. So let's start with the articulation first for this figure, because it's the same thing for all the other figures. His arms can spread up pretty good, I would say. Yeah, that's like a pretty good movement right there. He can swing back and forth. He has a articulation in his elbow, so it can bend, which is pretty good. He also has swivel here, which is really cool to see as well. As for his torso, there is no movement there. That's the only part that doesn't move. His head can, turn left to right, all that stuff. It just can't look up or down. His legs can spread out into pretty much almost a full split, which is pretty crazy. He also can do a full kick. Yeah, it's like pretty good, right? Like, it's not going to be like, super high up for an upper kick, but that is still a good, movement for him to like say, oh, let's have him kick Batman or something, because it's Batman versus Superman, right? So he does have a bend in the legs, so there is a joint right there, and it also swivels as well. And the most surprising thing of all, he has die cuts, and there is a swivel. So articulation is pretty good on this scale for a figure like this. It is really surprising. Now, his feet doesn't have articulation, but that's expected that some parts will not have anything, but that's still pretty good. Okay, let's talk about some aesthetics. It's pretty much really simple. The only difference between this and the bigger version is that this part is not painted yellow, but everything else is pretty much similar. The sculpted part up here for the cape, and also the material they use for this sort of soft cape piece right here. I don't know if it's cloth or some sort of paper material, but it's the same thing as the bigger version of this figure. And of course, he also has the S emblem on the back, so that is pretty cool. And now, let's talk about the accessories that he includes. And the first one I want to talk about right away is he comes with the heat vision. Yeah, isn't that pretty cool? He has this. Now, I know it looks kind of stupid looking, but at least they tried, okay? Because you look at all the McFarlane Superman figures that we have gotten, they have never once even attempted this at all. Never. Not even with an alternate head sculpt, nothing. At most, they just paint their eyes red, and that's like, okay, so he's just charging up the laser beam, but never like an effect part. The closest thing that I have ever seen them even attempt this was with that Mega Fig Darkseid figure, where one of his head sculpt has him charging up the Omega Beam, and they made it three-dimensional. That's as close as we've ever gotten to something like this. But for Superman, not even one figure. It's it's just crazy. I can't even freaking process that. I'm like, why do they not ever try? Now, as I said, it does look stupid, right? It looks like he's wearing goggles, but at least it's there. There's an option to make it look like he's using his, eye lasers. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with the McFarlane versions? That's the one gripe I have with those McFarlane Superman figures, is not having this. And till this day, they have never even attempted. So you do get that. Pretty cool. He does have the armor piece right here for the figure. It is all just translucent blue. Pretty cool. And you just slide this over. So there you go. Pretty cool. So yeah, I guess if Superman's ever fighting anybody that needs, armor to protect him, he does have that option as well. And the last accessory that he does include, I don't think it's for him. I think it's probably for Luthor or, any other character that I guess fights Superman that knows his weakness, such as Batman. He does come with this sort of kryptonite gauntlet thing. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but because it's green, I'm going to assume it's kryptonite of some kind for a weapon. And as you can see, there's like a little peg right here. It's probably for someone to hold, maybe. I'm not too sure. But yeah, you do get this as an accessory. And one last thing that I did not point out is that all these figures do have this sort of porthole on the back. And if you're wondering what that's for, well, in this case, I only know what it's for Batman, because this Batman figure, he has a chair that he can sit on, and there's like a peg on the chair so you can put it in so he doesn't fall off. And if I remember correctly, he also came with this glider piece that also pegs into the back here. So then you can have him like look like he's flying while he's holding the glider. But for these other figures, I'm not too sure what you're going to use, this porthole for, like for Superman, for example. Because clearly, if it was for his armor, they would have done something different here, and even for the back of his cape, right? There would be like a hole or something, but that's not the case. So, all right, let's move on to the next figure. We got Wonder Woman. Pretty cool. Again, it is the same design as the bigger version, but just smaller. And the articulation, of course, is the same as Superman, except one difference. Her skirt will hinder her articulation in the legs. So, she's not going to do a split. She's not going to really do any kicks or anything. But the overall design itself is the same. In terms of the rotation up here in the head, also going to be hindered because of the fact that she does have long hair, right? So, yeah. But everything else moves the same way as usual. She does have the die cuts as well that you can see right there. And not a bad looking figure for a 4-inch scale figure. Still pretty good. And on the back, you can see she has that giant porthole for whatever that is that you can use it for. And on the side, you can see that she has a porthole right there. That is for one of her accessories. And of course, the most obvious thing that goes there is, of course, her lasso of truth. which is just this, transparent yellow plastic, which is kind of funny. It's just, there's no sculpt details on it. It's literally just like a circle, and it just goes on the figure just like that. So that's pretty cool. And she does come with 2 other accessories. And I want to start with this one. It is her shield. And the interesting thing about the shield is that she can hold it in 2 different ways. So she can hold it like the normal way, how she holds her shield, right? Usually by the strap down here. However, if you take this off, because it can split into 2, she can hold it with both hands, using it as, I don't know, like a weapon or something, kind of similar to, what was it? It's similar to the Captain America shield that he had in the Infinity War movie, the one that he got from the Wakandans, because, it's the same idea. It's like literally shield on both arm, and then she can use it to punch her enemies. That's what this is. I don't know what to call this type of shield. It's like a gauntlet or something, but you have that as an option, so that's pretty cool. And of course, she got her sword. So you can also have her hold the sword, and it is warped. It is all transparent yellow again. Don't know why it's all the same color, but there it is. So pretty freaking cool for a Wonder Woman figure in this scale, and not a bad job that they did here. Now, let's talk about the third figure, and that is Aquaman. The cool thing about this figure is that the green paint for this smaller version is, for some reason, painted better. Because the larger version of this figure, they just used a flat green color, which, it is kind of glossy, but it doesn't have like this sort of metallic look to it. This one does. It looks like it's metallic paint. I don't think it is, but it comes off looking like that, and I find that surprising. And I think it's a good thing that they did this, because it does match the shininess of what you see up here with the orange. And just like the other version, he does have his fins, because that's part of his costume. And for his head sculpt, it is not too bad. Articulation for this guy is pretty much the same as Superman. And since he doesn't have the skirt, he can, do a split almost just like Superman. So that's pretty good. And he also has this giant porthole on the back for whatever that's supposed to be for. And in terms of accessories, well, Aquaman is never complete without his trident. So that's pretty cool that he comes with this. Now, I wish this was painted better, because his armor piece that he comes with, the battle armor, is painted nicely. It's also sculpted pretty good too. But look at the paint color here. I don't know why they couldn't have used it on this as well. That would have been nice if it was the same shiny color. So there's that. And he also comes with this effect piece where basically this is supposed to be him using his water abilities, like he's summoning the waves or something, right? The way it's sculpted, though, it doesn't really look like water. At first, when I took this out of the packaging, I did not know what this was. For some reason, I thought this was not water. I thought this was just like a random mystery accessory for some other character. But it is supposed to be water. That's what it looks like. And that is Aquaman. And the last figure now is Shazam. And the funny thing here is that this is my first ever regular comic book Shazam figure. Yes, I don't have the Walmart Gold Label version from the DC Multiverse line. I missed out on the Page Puncher version when it came out. I would say, was it at the beginning of this year? Yeah, it was at the beginning of this year. I think it was. Yeah, I missed out on the pre-orders for that, and that figure is so freaking expensive right now. For some reason, I can't get a regular comic book Shazam figure from the DC Multiverse line. But you know what? I'm happy. I have this one from the Spinmasters line, so that's still pretty good, right? Hopefully one day I'll still have a chance to get that other version. And again, the details. Look at this. Look at the sculpting here on these parts. Like, sometimes these basic figures, they don't ever go out of their way to do that. They usually just, leave it all flat yellow or gold in this case, right? But just having these details present on something so tiny is pretty freaking cool. So, And he does have a similar thing with Superman, right? As you can see, he has the sculpted part up here with the cape, and then he has the same soft material, which I don't exactly know what this is made of, but you got that. And he does have the port on the back. And just look at the details. Look at the grid line pattern of his costume. It goes all the way to the back too. That's pretty cool. So there's the figure. And in terms of accessories, well, actually, let's keep the figure in frame because he does come with his normal form. So when he's not in Shazam mode, he is Billy Baxton. And as you can see, this is when Billy Baxton is yelling Shazam, right? And he turns into his adult superhero form. For some reason, he's all painted in the same color. He doesn't have any skin tone or anything, so that's kind of weird. But hey, at least you got that as an option, right? And then he does come with this bent piece of metal for some reason. So I guess, you can have him hold that. Not really, because he can't really hold that in his hand. And last but not least, he comes with a lightning effect, which is similar to the water effect from Aquaman. It's not really painted in this crazy yellow. It's like a gold color, as I'm trying to speak here. And yeah, it's okay. It's not the best, but it gets the job done. So, and that is all of the 4 figures that I picked up. And honestly, I think all 4 of these figures are pretty cool for what they are. Especially since they will go well with that playset of mine that I do have from the Spinmaster line. And yeah, I just really want to talk about, these figures, and I think they're pretty cool for the scale that they are at. And, this is also the first time that I've done a video talking about the Spinmaster DC figure line, right? So maybe in the future I'll do another video talking about, potentially this Batmobile right here, or even the Ultimate one. Sadly, they're so big, they don't fit on this table, but, I'll find a way to do them. So, yeah. Well, if you found today's review of these little basic figures informative, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.